shrinking water bodies, dangerously low levels of groundwater, parched fields, agrarian economy in distress, deficit monsoons year after year, providing no respite.
What you're having in this country is a mega water crisis.
Droughts at the time of flood and flood at the time of rain. Severe heat waves.
Look at the way India has grown over several decades. A lot of our focus has been on infrastructure development, a lot of our focus has been on food security, and in this entire process of a new India, a rich India, a progressive India, a developed India, what we've actually looked at or what we've ended up doing is we've created an ecological crisis in the country.
Cloudbursts, cyclones. India is witness to all this and much more.
We are beginning to see the beginnings of climate change.
An emergency of unseen proportions that calls for action now.
This is climate change. It's quite clear.
As the coronavirus pandemic rages on furiously, causing widespread devastation, the only good thing that came about was the environmental benefit. As skies in cities with hazardous levels of air pollution started clearing up, and even the endangered Ganges river dolphin was seen frolicking in the now pollution-free Ganga in Meerut.
That's right. Today is World Environment Day. Hello and welcome to this special. We look at what the environment is all about, but importantly, what really is the government doing to safeguard the environment? Remember, World Environment Day comes in a week where the tragic death of an elephant has once again focused attention on wildlife conservation and the man-animal conflict. Just a week before that, we saw a cyclone in Bengal and then a cyclone that passed across the west coast of the country. And the locusts are back like they've never been for more than 4 decades. Climate change is again a subject on everyone's mind. We'll be joined by the Minister of State for Environment, Babul Supriyo, in a moment. But first, let's take a look at how the government has been dealing with these multiple environmental challenges.
Days before the annual World Environment Day, headlines across India carried this heart-wrenching image. A pregnant elephant in Kerala died after eating a pineapple. The fruit, stuffed with chemicals, was possibly meant for wild boars. A dubious practice by local people to control the boars digging up agricultural patches. The elephant suffered severe burns in the mouth and innards and died a painful death. Uproar ensued, but lost amid the uprightest anger was the more critical reason for such an incident happening: the vanishing of elephant reserves, leading the animals to venture closer to habitation, giving rise to conflict.
Conflict is intense, Rajdeep. Over 100 elephants are killed every year in India illegally, and over 55-60 are killed by people protecting crops. In turn, elephants kill over 600 humans. Now, the elephants are not predators. They are not killing humans in order to eat them. In fact, they would want to avoid people. But the conflict occurs often in the crop fields, or on roads, or in human inhabited spaces. And however large our elephant reserves, we have the largest elephant reserves in Asia with the maximum elephants. Number of state governments have done a lot to protect them over the last many years. But the fact is, a very large part of the range of elephants is outside protected areas. And that is where the conflicts are intense.
According to the Forest Survey of India 2019 report, forest cover in India has increased. While the definition of forest cover as per this report has been questioned, But this apart, the fact also is that crucial wildlife corridors are shrinking. On April 7th, the Standing Committee of the National Board on Wildlife cleared 36 projects in protected wildlife areas, including the Western Ghats, and a coal mining project inside an elephant reserve in Assam. Activists say that as per the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, under which the board functions, there is no provision for meetings over video. The Forest Conservation Act 1980 too does not say if decisions can be taken over video conferencing. On April 23rd, the Forest Advisory Committee met over video conferencing to consider 10 projects, which included exploration for uranium mining in Amrabad Tiger Reserve in Telangana and the building of dams in the Dibang Valley in Assam. In a tweet on April 15th, the Environment Ministry stated that these video conference meetings are being facilitated by the Environment Minister to approve environment clearance proposals for seamless economic growth during COVID-19.
Proactive, governance and a different model of governance rather than a Gadkari model of governance, which is only about the speed at which we are building the roads, is what is a success story. And success story of Javadekar is not about environment protection, but is about environmental clearance. He says that I'm the best environment minister because I give clearance to cut forest and to mining projects and to other river linking projects faster than any other minister in the history of our country.
On 4th of June, a group of 149 people, that included scientists and conservationists, sent a letter to the Union Minister for Environment, Forests and Climate Change, expressing serious concern over the diversion of forest land for proposed projects that directly impact Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary and Molam National Park in Goa. These projects include double-tracking a railway line through the sanctuary and national park and a 4-lane highway, among others. While the government wants to fast-track environment clearance to promote ease of doing business, environment activists and experts say there is real and visible danger of such hasty decisions causing irreversible damage to biodiversity.
And joining me now is Babul Supriyo, Minister of State for Environment, Forests and Climate Change. Appreciate your joining us, Babul Supriyo. We're not just in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic, but we are also in the midst of massive climate change. Your home state of Bengal has seen a cyclone just about a fortnight ago. We saw similar formations across the west coast of the country. But I want to start with the story, Babul Supriyo, of the elephant. And that has focused attention on wildlife conservation. Do you believe that we need to do much more, given the fact that your government at times is being accused of giving rampant environment clearances, even at times within the elephant corridor? How do you respond to that? Is this a challenge for a government now to ensure that wildlife corridors, elephant corridors, for example, are protected, Babul Supriyo? Babul Supriyo, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Supriyo?
Yes, just now.
Yeah, the question I'm asking is that we are on World Environment Day and we are doing it against the backdrop of a cyclone that took place in your home state. There's been a locust attack, and then we've had this tragic death of an elephant. Now, in all these instances, environmental issues are raised, but I want to start with the elephant because there are fears that governments are giving environmental clearances in a manner that suggests that there is less concern for environment, less concern, for example, for elephant corridors. Do you concede that this is a... Do you concede, Babul Supriyo?
I can't hear you, Raz.
Okay, we're going to try and reconnect to you, Mr. Supriyo. Can you hear me now? Okay, we will try and go back to Babul Supriyo, but before that, remember, India is seeing, as I said, severe weather conditions, and the worry is there has been no substantial or not enough action on the ground. Remember, reduction in water or air pollution levels remains another major challenge. Every year, India's metropolitan cities, particularly the national capital region, get covered in a layer of smoke. And many believe that's become the new normal. Take a look.
Air is all around us. It cannot be seen but can be felt. Without air, there is no life itself. But air also carries soot, smoke, and other particles which pollute the invisible air. Air pollution lurks all around us. It preys on everyone, not sparing the young or old. Particulate matter is the most critical pollutant when it comes to impacting human lives.
So PM10 is particles with size less than 10 micron, and PM2.5 is particles with size less than 2.5 micron. So PM10 will have PM2.5 in it. The difference is in terms of what impact it has. When it is 2.5 micron and below, it is such a minute particle that it is likely to get into your skin, into your lung, everywhere. So therefore, the toxicity of PM2.5 is considered very high.
Agricultural burning, household burning, industrial emissions, vehicular emissions, and construction dust are the main sources that form particulate matter and stay in the air that we breathe.
I'm absolutely not surprised that over the last few years, despite all the action that you see from the government and Supreme Court, our load has not reduced and therefore our concentration has not reduced.
Air pollution impacts and adversely affects everyone who's breathing. The only way you can escape the ill effects of air pollution is if you stop breathing.
And let's try and go back to Babul Supriyo. Babul Supriyo, we've raised two issues in this special, one on air pollution, but we also raised the issue of the concern over wildlife conservation. We've had the tragic death of an elephant, and the fact is elephant corridors in this country are now subject at times to mining projects being cleared. Some are suggesting that the Environment Ministry is not doing enough and is giving far too many clearances. Even on video in the last month, you need to look at the entire issue of wildlife conservation. Your response?
Well, you see, Rajiv, it seems so from the outside. Let's understand one thing, that yes, we are a country where, we are an agro economy. That's true. But at the same time, infrastructure development, industrialization and agriculture, they all need to go together at the same time. When it comes to conservation of forest, conservation of wildlife, everything, they all need to coexist.
But
now,
there needs to be, but surely there needs to be transparency, Mr. Minister. The fact is on April 7th this year, you gave 36 clearances. The Standing Committee of the National Board of Wildlife, even though there is no provision for video conference in the Wildlife Act. So is there a temptation to give far too many clearances far too easily?
Rajiv, you have to give me some time to answer the question, because the questions you're asking are heavy questions. Let me answer it. There might not be any provision for video conferencing when it comes to clearances, but why are we doing this video conferencing? We should not have any meetings then. Everything should stand still, and the economy of the country should not function. Okay. The government should do nothing about it. So let's not talk about what exists in the act or not. This is a pandemic situation. This is an extraordinary circumstances. It demand extraordinary actions, and for long, because meetings were not were not taking place. There were companies which were shut down, employees which were getting laid off. No matter what you do, contractual laborers were not being paid. We had made provisions for money to be paid from ESIC funds for construction workers and all of that, but people were not getting money.
So let's talk about the elephant corridors.
There has to be a point from where production and companies needs to start. Environmental clearances goes through several layers of surveillance. So on the face of it, just making a overall statement that if the government is not looking into them thoroughly is not entirely correct. It's not correct, Rajdeep. It's very wrong to put in a thing like that. We have done so well with tigers. We had a target by 2022. We are going to double the number of tigers. We already in 2018-19, we have reached that figure of 1,400 to 2,900. Now, if you go to Gir forest in Gujarat, you see the number of lions that we have in that small section. Tigers are spread throughout the country. We have lions only in that Gir region.
We are losing about 100 elephants are being killed. One concedes that...
I will get there. Rajdeep, I'll go there. Let me not digress. I'm saying that the wildlife is flourishing. We are one of the few countries in the world amongst the 8-9 countries where forest cover have actually gone up. Now, when you want me to come back to, we have made there was an app that existed called the Parivesh Act since 2009, but there were certain glitches in it which were not, there were certain shortcomings which we wanted to address. And now the Parivesh Act, which is being upgraded in a manner where the single window is just not going to be a rhetoric. There are several layers, and not only the ministry. There are expert panels, there are scientists, people who understand the priority, whether you need to give there was one case in Northeast. I'm not going to name the state. There was a case in Northeast where one big coal company, they had the environmental clearance, but they wanted the clearance for a little more space where they felt high quality coal exists. We even had a actual conference in our minister's house to discuss whether that coal can be reached horizontally by creating a tunnel. We were discussing that if you could do a metro rail, why can't we reach a certain coal reserve by digging a tunnel through it? Because if you cut the trees on top, those trees take 25 to 30 years to grow to their height to create that dense forestation on top. So cutting them from top is not the option. So this is how deep we go. So let's understand that it is not.
You made a strong defense, because your critics, of course, environmental activists will say that at times ministries do become ministries of clearances. But that's their perspective.
Who makes the activists? Who gives the certificate to the activists bigger certificates than us? Trust me, we are in the government. We have our reputations at stake. We have to earn people's trust. So the activists are not really answerable to everyone. They send us questions. We give them answers. Sometimes they agree. Sometimes they agree to disagree. That's fair enough.
Let me for a moment stop you, Babul, because I have another guest also joining us. Dr. Arunabha Ghosh is CEO, Council on Energy, Environment and Water. We raised the issue of air pollution also, Dr. Ghosh, and ironically, in these times of pandemic, air quality has improved in several cities. But how do you make it sustainable? How do you ensure, for example, that crop burning does not take place come October, November? Do you believe these are the challenges of our times, and maybe we need to find a much better strategy to address them across the year? Dr. Ghosh.
Ajit, thank you. 2 quick points in response to your question. Number one, when we think about air pollution, we got to have a far more aggressive ambition. And I call it Mission 80-80-80. In 2027, we will be an 80-year-old independent nation. We can pledge, and it is possible, to reduce air pollution by 80% in 80 cities by our 80th birthday as a country. Now, to do that, we have to actually look at where are the opportunities, not just where are the costs. Coal power, for instance, results in about 76,000 premature deaths in India every year. At the same time, we know that the retrofitting of these coal plants with pollution control equipment would cost about 14,500 crore. However, if we shut down the 25-year-old coal plants and diverted the coal to newer, more efficient coal plants, we save up to 18,000 crore. More than that, renewable energy, where India, Prime Minister Modi has made very significant aggressive moves on this, we are promising up to 450,000 megawatts of renewables. Renewables is already beating thermal power on a like-for-like basis. So what we really need to do, Rajdeep, is not just on World Environment Day, but through the year, strike a new social contract of jobs, growth, and sustainability. We create far more jobs from renewable energy than from coal. We create far more investment. Investment in renewables is exceeding investment in thermal power year on year in India. And we therefore build a more sustainable climate resilient infrastructure.
But do you see
This
that?
is the social
But do you
contract
see
that we
that
need to-
consciousness? Do you see that strategy, Dr. Ghosh, in place at the moment? Do you believe that there is a need to look at these issues not just on World Environment Day, but is there a greater attempt being made by policymakers to resolve these concerns?
I think on one hand, Rajdeep, we have certainly put out India as one of the most aggressive renewable energy targets. It's amongst the top 5 renewable energy countries in the world. However, I don't think as a country, not just policymaker, I think as citizens, as businesses, we've not recognized that should we save the economy of the past or invest in the infrastructure of the future? We will get more jobs from renewables. We will get 2 million jobs in sustainable cooling servicing technicians. We will create 2 million jobs in a green hydrogen supply chain that can substitute for coal in making steel. So these are all new opportunities that are there for the kind of investment that we put in as we come out of the pandemic. We have to start making strategic choices towards jobs growth and sustainability.
Okay.
That overarching view is not there across the country. And we've got to stop thinking about this in silos, stop thinking about let's invest in renewables today and then, dirty fossil fuels tomorrow. Subsidies that we give to fossil fuels in India is 7 times more than the subsidies we give to renewables.
Right.
And yet renewables is winning against fossil fuels on a level.
Okay, we're going to leave it there, Dr. Ghosh. We've run out of time today. We wish we could discuss these issues at greater length and probably not just on World Environment Day. Both to Babul Supriyo, Dr. Arunabha Ghosh, we wish you a happy World Environment Day. Thank you very much for joining. We know that these are going to be challenges, whether it's wildlife conservation, whether it's renewable energy, challenges for the future. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.